Let me ask you something. Have you in the back by someone you trusted? A friend, a partner, someone you loved? Yeah, we've all been there. You trusted. They lied. You gave. They pinned is this deep hole in your chest where your soul used to breathe. But listen to me. That betrayal, it didn't break you. It birthed you. It walked a version of you. It unlocked a version of you that even you didn't know existed. And today I'm going to show you how it was a portal, a transformation, a test for your strength, teach, your wisdom, and your power. Let's be real for a second. Betray you trusted, walks away, cheats, leads, or stabs you in the back. It's like the ground beneath your feet gives out. It's one of the deepest cuts to human, if that was done, but because of who did it, it's not just the act, it's the shock, the disbelief. How could they? That plays over and over in your mind at 3 a.m. But I want you to pause, breathe, and look at it differently. What if that betrayal wasn't here to punish you? What if it was here to promote you? You see, most here to betrayal is the end of the story, but it's not the end. It's the beginning. It's a portal, a door that cracks open of you toward a more powerful version of yourself. Think about a seed. In order for it to grow into a tree, it has to break. It has to burst open in the dirt under darkness. That breaking isn't the end of the seed. It's the start of the becoming. Betrayal works the same way. Let's take a real life example. Imagine someone in a job they love, or at least think they love. They've given years to this company. They've skipped vacations, worked weekends, bent over backward to please their boss, and in backward, they're let go. No warning, no thank you. Just a box and an exit. At first, they feel crushed, used, worthless. But 6 months later, they've started their own hours. They're making twice the income, setting their own hours, living with more purpose and joy than ever before. Looking back, they realize that getting fired that wasn't the death sentence they thought it was. It was the catalyst, the portal, the maybe divine shove they needed unlocked. A few dared to create on their own. Let's take it even more personal. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe that was your old story. You gave your heart to someone, you're your future with them. And then the betrayal came. Maybe they left. Maybe they cheated. Maybe they slowly eroded your worth thing. You grieved. You questioned everything, but then something shifty. You started going to the gym, not to impress anyone, to reconnect with your body. You stopped in your mind. You stopped tolerating fake love. You started setting boundaries. You became clear about what you again accept. Suddenly, you're not the same person. You're more aware, more discerning, stronger, wiser, and it wasn't therapy or a self-help book or a betrayal, the breaking, the initiation, because what betrayal really does, it burns the illusion. It strips away the lies you believed these you'd be whole, that your worth was tied to their approval, that if you gave enough, you'd be safe. Gone. And what's left after betrayal is not your realizing, I never needed them. I needed me. That's the portal. That's the transformation. It's not about revenge. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that you gave away. There's something sacred in betrayal. It forces you to ask hard questions. Who am I? What do I truly deserve? What have I been settling for? It's the earthquake that cracks open a truth you were too afraid or too comfortable to see before. You don't become powerful in the easy seasons. You become powerful in the seasons, Biddle Jones, because in those moments, everything unnecessary is stripped away. What's left is you. Raw, real, and ready. Betrayal hurts. Let's not sugarcoat that. It doesn't visit your life without an assignment. Sometimes betrayal enters to exit what's no longer aligned, to free you from attachments that were moved back, to burn the bridge so you don't keep walking in the wrong direction. You didn't ask for the fire, but it came. And instead of letting it consume you, it's transformation. That's your initiation into the next level of your life. So when you look at your past and see a doorway that led you closer to yourself, a doorway that exposed the lies and revealed the truth. A doorway that didn't just change your life. It's not the betrayal that defines you. It's what you do with it. Make and choose to stay bitter or used to too bitter. You can relieve the pain or you can rewrite the purpose. Because betrayal, it's not the ending. It's your becoming. And trust me, the you that's rising out, that version is unshakable. Pain has a strange way of showing up unlives at our worst possible moments. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It just walks in, unexpected, messy over everything. And yet, Pain has this hidden agenda most people misses. It's not here to ruin you. It's here to reveal you when life is story. According to plan, we don't really know who we are. We're comfortable. We're coasting. We think we've got it all together. Doesn't show up when things are easy. Your real strength introduces itself in the fire. Think about it. When you find out what you're made of, when everyone loves you, not when you're winning. No, you find out what you're made of when you're hurled shattered, your back is against the wall, and you've got nothing left but your breath and a decision to keep going. That's when you meet your real self. That's when Nixie wakes up and says, we're not quitting. Not now. Not like this. Pain strips away the surface. And pain pulls you deeper, and in that depth, raw, uncomfortable space, you meet the strongest, fiercest version of you that's been waiting to emerge. Let me give you a real example. A woman dedicating 10 years of her life to a company. She sacrificed holidays, family time, and her own health to meet deadlines. She's out warning. She's replaced like that, just home devastated. Broken. Questioning everything, but after the tears and the supplying for work. Not just for another paycheck, but for something that aligns with her soul. She signs up for night classes. She's wanted to explore. Photography. Within 2 years, she's running her own business, doing work she loves, waking up excited again. And here's what she'll you when you ask her how it all began. I found my strength when I had nothing but my own belief. That pain, the layoff, the betrayal, the confusion, it didn't destroy her. It introduced her to her courage. It revealed a resilience she didn't even know she had. Or think about the person going through heartbreak. Maybe it was a divorce, a breakup, or a deep emotional betrayal. Everything was falling apart. The future they planned dissolved overnight. But in the quiet of that loss, they begin to reclaim their voice. They stop abandoning themselves to keep startable. They reconnect with friends, rediscover passions they'd buried, to start to heal. And not just heal, rise stronger, wiser, clearer. You see, pains to sculpt your greatness. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also sacred, because strength doesn't look like never faint apart. Real strength is falling apart and rebuilding yourself anyway. It's crying your way through the process, but feeling like giving up, but choosing to keep walking. There's power in the fact you're still standing. Even if you're tired, healing, that's the strength most people don't celebrate. The quiet strength, the kind that shows up in small de-stuck. Don't have it all figured out, but I won't stay stuck. Pain reveals that. It exposes the parts of you that were resourcefulness, your adaptability, your fire. We admire people who have overcome the worst, who've beaten cancer, maybe lost everything, gone through life, and still came out the other side with their soul intact. But we forget they didn't become they were fortunate in the pain. They became strong because of it, not in spite of it. Pain teaches you how to be present. It shows you what really mattered. Hope, empathy. It teaches you to look in the mirror and say, even in this, I'm enough. You want to know who you really are, what you're capable of. Look at you, who you were during your hardest moments.
Yeah.
And how you got through them. How helped you. Not what you had, but what came from without. It's not always a war cry. Sometimes it's the whisper that says one more step, one more day, one more breath. And that's more victory on a stage. Because that kind of strength, it can't be faked. It can't given. It can only be earned. So the next time pain shows up in your life, why me? Ask, what is this here to show me about am I building through this? Because on the other side of pain is the version of you who doesn't just survive. They lead, they build, they elevate version. And that version of you, they were born in the fire. There's something brutal. It's one of those experiences that punches you in the gut and knocks the wind out of your life. Whether it's the loss of a relationship, maybe it's on a dream you've held on to for years, lost this way of cracking you open and demanding that you see the truth. The raw, unfiltered truth about who you are and what you truly value. We go through life carrying so much noise. Expectations from others. Beliefs we've inherited. Standards we've never even questioned. We long because we don't want to hurt someone. We say yes when we mean no because we're afraid of disappointing people. We work in jobs that slowly kill our spirit just to feel secure. And through it all, we think we're doing the right thing. But then and everything shifts. When someone walks out on you, when something you in the future you counted on disappear overnight, that's when clarity shows up. Loud, unapologetic, clear. It's like fog lifting from a valley, terrain of your own life in a way you never could before. You start asking different questions. Hill, why did I tolerate that behavior? Why didn't I listen to my gut? Why did I ignore the red flags? And most importantly, what do I really deserve? Lost force questions, not with theory, not with glitches, but with truth, with blood and tears and real lived experience. Take someone who just got out of a toxic relationship. It was emotional manipulation, gaslighting, or just constant disrespect masked as love. In the moment, they couldn't see it. They kept trying to fix it, to be better, to hold it all together. Maybe that was your finally ends. When they finally summon the courage to walk away, something powerful happens. They look back and realize that wasn't love. That was me abandoning my own need to keep someone else comfortable. That realization is painful, yes, but it's also freeing, because from that pain comes clarity. I will never again confuse stay, quiet, and stay to keep the peace. I will never again make myself small just to be loved. And just like that, their standards rise, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. Or think about someone who loses a job they thought was everything. Maybe they were climbing the ladder, get a career they thought defined their worth. Then the company downsizes. Or a younger, cheaper hire replaces them. Suddenly, it's gone. In the silence, start to reflect, not just on the job, but on their identity. They realize they haven't been happy in years. That they've been sacrificing time with, I've stopped doing the things that bring the joy. That loss didn't just take away a fusion of fulfillment. And once that illusion is gone, clarity steps in. They realize they've been chasing validations. They've been trading their soul for security. From that realization comes a resetting. I want to work somewhere I feel. Maybe with people who energize me. I want to build something that aligns my purpose. That's the power of loss. It wipes the slate clean and gives you the space to rebuild. Not habits stored, not from old habits or fear, but here's the truth no one tells you sometimes. What you lose reveals you never really had, and what you thought you wanted reveals what you wanted it. Loss sharpens you. It strips away the non-essential. It makes you redefine what's acceptable. You no longer tolerate half-effort love. You stop making excuses for people who drain you. You say no. You say without guilt, body, soul aligned, yes. That clarity. That's your power, because now you're not operating from a place of discernment, of discernment. You're no longer just taking what life throws at you. You're choosing consciously, powerfully, intentionally. Lost fire, the fire that burned the lies away. Loss was the mirror that reflected your deepest truth. And it was the pain that elevated you. You accepted breadcrumbs. The new you demands the whole damn table. Not because you're arrogant, because you finally found your worth. So the next time you face a loss, don't just grieve what's gone. Look at what it's trying to reveal. From the beginning of true alignment, it brings you face to face with what really matters. And once you see clearly, you never go blind you. Loss didn't just take something away from you. It gave you something far more valuable in clarity, conviction, and the courage to raise your standards. Forever. It's human. We see peace. We want calm waters, predictable days, and people who never let us down. And yet, what we want and what we need are, because comfort may keep you safe, but it doesn't make you grow. Comfort may protect your ego, but it rarely reveals your strength where your greatness is born. It's in the chaos, the struggle. You rise in conflict, not comfort. Think about the most powerful. No. They're not that way because life handed them a perfect script. That way, they're that way because they've been open, humbled, tested, and they didn't run from the fire. They stood in it. They didn't collapse under pressure. Way of calling something deeper out of you. Let's get real. Look at your own life. Think about a time when everything seemed was store pain. Maybe it was a betrayal that tore your heart open. Maybe it was a financial crash that left you wondering how you'd survive. Maybe it was a major failure. Rejection feel like everything you were building just crumbled to dust. At that moment, it probably felt like the worst thing that happened to you. But when you look back now, what do you see? You see that moment pushed you. You see it forced you to think differently, to move differently, To conflict challenged your identity. It shook up your ego. It disrupted your patterns. But it also upgraded your mindset. It confronts the version of you that's no longer useful. It confronts your excuses. It exposes your fears. It pulls your limits into the light so you can find about them. Take the story of a man who spent 15 years building a business from the ground up. Everything was tied to that identity, his fruit, his future. But when the market shifted and the business started failing, he faced an internal war, panic, shame. He was losing not just who he believed he was. He could have stayed in denial, but instead, he got honest. The conflict forced him to evolve. He studied more, pivoted the business, moved more aligned where the world was headed. Within 2 years, maybe that was your old story, he was more successful than ever before because he avoided the conflict, but because he engaged with it, he let it shape him, not shrink him. Comfort would have never given him that click or picture a young man stuck in a toxic relationship. On the surface, things looked okay. They laughed, they traveled, they posted, but when closed doors, she was walking on eggshells. She couldn't express her needs. She felt emotionally drained. Yet, why? Because it was comfortable. It was predictable. But then the fights got worse, the silence louder, the inner conflict unbearable. Until one day, something snapped. She had enough. And yet, for the first time in years, she felt free. That conflict, that turmoil forced her to rise, to find her voice, to reclaim her worth, to realize rather face the fear of being alone than the comfort of being disrespected. This is what conflict does. It wakes you to comfort, let sleep. It calls you to become more. Not because life is cruel, because life knows your potential. You don't grow when everything goes your way. You grow when the plan falls apart. When your heart breaks. When you're backed into a corner, and conflict builds resilience. It teaches you emotional discipline. It teaches you to stay calm in storms. Not just when the sun is shining. Conflict, you carry a different energy. People can feel it. You walk into a room and you don't need to say a word. Your presence speaks. I've been through, I back wiser. You become someone who doesn't fold under pressure. You perform under it. You don't run from the heat, you thrive in it. And you face them. Because now you know the truth. You weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness, and greatness in conflict. So the next time you're in the middle of a battle, internal or external, don't course it. Don't shrink from it. Stand all, asked Mamie is rising through this, because this pain, this problem, this pressure, it's not here to destroy you. It's here to build you, to promote you, to cheer and sown stronger than you've ever been. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, you'll look back and Razi was the turning point. That storm was the start of your rise. And every moment of discomfort was re-upon you to walk in your full power. When betrayal hits, it doesn't just hurt just your heart, not just your plans, but something deeper in your confidence in yourself. You start questioning everything, you scumming. Why didn't I listen to my gut? How could I have trusted them? You replay every conversation, every warning sign, every moment tuition for the sake of peace, love, or loyalty. But what if I told you betrayal, as painful as it is one of life's greatest teachers, and not just the one that pushes you, stretches you, and forces you to do something most people avoid their whole lives. Learn to trust her, because here's yourself, because don't want to admit, we often betray ourselves long before someone else ever does. We silence our intuition. We ignore red flags. We excuse toxic being steer crumbs, calling it love. And we convince ourselves that if we just give more, tolerate more, wait a little longer, things will get betrayal. The truth spills out. The mask falls off. And in the ashes of what's lost, something sacred rises. The realization that your realizing mistake in trusting them, it was not trusting you. And that moment, that's your turning point. It's the day you stop outsourcing your role. It's the day you stop handing over your peace just to keep someone else comfortable. It's the day you stop abandoning yourself. Let you scenario. A woman is in a long-term relationship. From the outside, everything looks good. Smiles, vacations, shared goals. But on the inside, she's distant, dismissive. She senses secrets, but when she brings it up, calls her insecure or crazy. So down. Tries harder, loves harder, until one day, the truth comes out. There was someone else, and it all shatters. At first, she's through the grief. Something powerful happens. She starts journaling, going to therapy, meditating, reading. And one day, maybe it hits her. I knew deep down, that moment is not weakness. It's her awakening. She begins reconnecting to her intuition, her inner voice, the one she silenced with a space. She sets new standards. She walks into the next chapter not bitter, but brilliant, not guarded, but grounded, not afraid of love, but rooted in self. Sea of Troil brings you back home to yourself. It forces you to rebuild not just your heart, but your relationship with you, to recognize that your instincts weren't worgum, to realize that your body felt it, your mind whispered it, your soul screamed it. And next time you'll listen, this isn't about blaming your sis' lies. No, it's about reclaiming your power. Because when you learn to trust yourself again, no one can manipulate you the same way. Silence. No one can pull you off center because you know you're center now. Self-trust, the foundation of every light confidence that says, even if it all falls apart, I'll be okay. It's the internal compassions, even when the path is uncertain. It's the voice that says, just feel, listen, no second guessing. And betrayal, as cruel as it feels, is the storm that clears a fog away you out of the compass. Another example, a young man joins a business partnership. On paper, it's solid, profitable, promising, but something feels off. The other Kiki owner is hiding numbers, making decisions without transparency. But he stays quiet, not want to rock the boat. He tells himself it's just business. Until one day, the partner drains the account and vanishes. The loss is massive. Financially, emotionally, but instead of drowning mentally, he sees the truth. I saw the signs. I just didn't want to with the dismem deal realization. That realization, painful it is, changes everything. From that point forward, he operates from a place of alignment. He asserts boundaries, and most of all, he trusts his inner signals and acts on them. That's the transformation. Betray doesn't make you cautious. It makes you conscious. It doesn't just make you stronger. It makes you sovereign. You begin to walk through life knowing that you need to wait for validation to act, that your inner voice isn't just a whisper. It's a warning, a guide, and a gift. And when you operate self-longer, chase people who don't value you. You no longer explain your worth. You no longer tolerate what insults you through betrayal. You've seen what happens when you ignore your truth. And now, you protect that truth like it's sacred. Because it isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It simply says, I will never abandon myself again. And it's made you become unshakable. So let betrayal teach you. Let it hurt. Let it humble. But most of all, let it lead you back to self. Because trust yourself again. Truly and fully, no one can ever betray you in the same way again. You've already learned the most Polish is not a suggestion. It's a compass. And it will never lie to you. Let's not sugarcoat it. Rock bottom sucks. It's dark. It's lonely. It's the place where everything you thought was secure collapses. The relationship ends. The business fails. The money runs out. The people you counted on disappear. The image you built around yourself shatters. And you're left with nothing but you. Let me tell you something powerful. Rock bottom is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the moment when the old life breaks down so that the real you can break through. It's the moment when all the masks, the pretending, the distractions, and the illusions fall away. And for the first time, and are forced to look in the mirror and ask the questions most people spend their lives avoiding. Who am I without the titles? Who am I without the money? Who am I when there's no one left to impress? What do I really want? What do I truly value? See, here's the secret life hides inside every breakdown. When you hit the bottom, there's nowhere left to fall. That means every step from here is up. That means every move you make is a decision to rise. Not for anyone else, not for applause. Because something inside you refuses to stay broken. Take a look at some of the greatest success stories. People who built legacies, changed lives, made impact. Almost all of them have something in common. They've tasted rock bottom. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first reporting job and told she was home fit for television. She was broke, humiliated, unsure of her next move. But that rejection, that fall to the bottom, gave her the fire to own her voice, to do things her way, and eventually to build a global media empire. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter as a single mother living on welfare, battling depression, and wondering if she was even worthy of success. She was at the lowest point of her life. And yet, in that rock bottom space, her magic came alive. It's not coincidence, it's principle. Because here's the truth when you lose everything. The job, the title, the person, the approval, what you gain is priceless. You gain clarity. You gain focus. You gain a fire that can't be manufactured in comfort. You start creating not to prove something, but because it's all you've got. You start building not because it's expected of you, but because it's your only way forward. You stop playing small because small doesn't survive in the storm. Only strength does. Let's make it real. Imagine someone who spent years climbing the ladder in their career. They did everything right, checked all the boxes, hit all the targets. But one day the company folds, they're laid off, no backup plan, no support. Just a resume and a fading sense of identity. They hit bottom. At first, they spiral, self-doubt, shame. But something in that silence speaks louder than the noise ever did. For the first time, they ask, what do I actually want to do with my life? Not what their parents expected, not what society applauds, but what lights their soul on fire. They start freelancing consulting. Maybe they launch a blog or take an online course. They build slowly, quietly, authentically. And what grows from that rock bottom place isn't just a new career. It's a new self. One with boundaries, vision, purpose. They never would have found that in their old life. Rock bottom made space for the truth to rise. Or maybe it's a relationship story. Someone spends years with a partner who slowly chips away at their confidence. They shrink themselves, they stop speaking up, they twist themselves into someone else's version of enough until it all explodes. Betrayal, heartbreak, abandonment. They feel like they've lost everything. But then something starts to shift. They get back into the gym. Not for revenge, but for rebirth. They reconnect with friends. They rediscover forgotten passions, painting, hiking, reading. They cry, yes, but they also create. They stop chasing people who won't choose them. They stop trying to prove their worth to the wrong ones. They start living in alignment. And they look in the mirror one day and say, I didn't just survive that, I became through that. That's the power of rock bottom. It doesn't just build resilience. It reveals it. It doesn't just teach you strength. It shows you that you already had it. It's the classroom where you learn that everything you thought would destroy you was actually preparing you. And let's be real. When you rise from rock bottom, you rise differently. You walk into rooms with quiet confidence. You make decisions with discernment, not desperation. You don't beg to be seen. You see yourself. Because once you've been at the bottom and found your way back up, nothing and no one can take that power from you. Not rejection, not failure, not loss. You've already met your deepest fear and you didn't die. You discovered, you designed, you decided that your story wouldn't end in the dark. So if you're there now, if you feel like everything is falling apart, breathe. This is not your punishment, this is your platform. Not the one you stand on to impress, but one you build on to become. And when you rise, and you'll look back at the rubble and whisper, thank you for giving me a foundation nothing can shake. Betrayal is one of life's hardest pills to swallow. It's not just the act of someone hurting you, it's the shock of it. The realization that someone you trusted lied. Someone you gave love to used it. Someone you believed in let you down. It cuts deep because betrayal is personal. It's not just the end of a connection. It's the destruction of the space you held for that person in your heart. But in the rubble of that betrayal, something powerful rises. Boundaries. See, before betrayal, most of us are wide open. We give freely. We pour our hearts out. We overlook red flags because we don't want to seem rude or dramatic. We say yes when we want to say no. We try to keep the peace even if it costs our own. We tell ourselves, maybe I'm overthinking, or they didn't mean it like that. But when betrayal happens, when the line is crossed, it's like a wake-up call from the universe. Protect your energy, protect your peace, protect your power, and for many people, that betrayal becomes the moment they stop abandoning themselves to make other people comfortable. Let's take a real-world example. A woman is in a friendship she's had for over a decade. They've been through everything together. Birthdays, breakups, family drama. But lately, she notices a pattern. Only shows up when she needs something. Her wins are dismissed. Her boundaries are ignored. She's always giving, wins understanding, but when she needs support, silence. Still, she keeps showing up. Because of the history, because guilt, because she's scared of conflict. Then one day, the ultimate betrayal happens. Her friend shares her personal struggles behind her back. Deep, vulnerable things she confided. And now they're being used as gossip. She's devastated, but not just because of what was said. She's devastated because she allowed access to someone who didn't deserve it. She let her energy be drained over and over. She made excuses, she ignored her own discomfort. But now, she doesn't explode, she doesn't seek revenge. She just decides my energy is sacred. My peace is priority. And access to me is earned, not assumed. That betrayal didn't destroy her, it refined her. She starts setting boundaries. She no longer picks up the phone just because it rings. She stops explaining herself to people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She surrounds herself with people who pour back into her. And slowly she feels stronger, calmer. This is what betrayal teaches you when you're willing to listen. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone deserves to know your fears, your goals. Not everyone has the emotional maturity to hold space for your dreams. Not everyone is capable of meeting you where you're going. And the more you protect your energy, the clearer this becomes. It's not about cutting people off with anger. It's about choosing you. It's about saying, I love you, but I love me more. And if honoring myself makes you uncomfortable, that's your burden, not mine. Think about someone who's been in a toxic workplace. They've stayed loyal. They've delivered, they've over-delivered, they've gone above and beyond. And what do they get in return? Micromanagement, disrespect, undermining. They bring up concerns, but they're told they're being too sensitive. And eventually they burn out, they crash, but then something clicks. I can't keep living like this. They leave. Maybe they go freelance, start a new job, build their own business. And in that process, they learn to set boundaries that honor their time, their mental health. Now, they don't respond to emails at 11 p.m. They don't let clients walk all over them. They don't say yes to every opportunity because they finally understand your energy is your currency. If you spend it on the wrong people, you'll always feel broke. Betrayal shows you where the leaks are in your life, where you've been giving too much, where you've been tolerating too little, where you've been choosing peace for others at the cost of war within yourself. And once you see that, truly see it, you can't unsee it, you start saying no without an essay. You stop trying to prove your worth. You stop allowing chaos in the name of connection. And this doesn't make you hard or cold. It makes you wise. Because boundaries are not walls. They're filters. They don't keep everyone out. They keep the wrong ones out and make room for the right ones to come in. You begin to walk with a different kind of confidence. Not the loud, flashy kind, the grounded kind. The kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I offer. And I will not be depleted just to make others comfortable. This kind of self-respect is forged in fire. It's earned through betrayal. It's born in the moment you realize. So if you've been betrayed, let it hurt, but let it teach. Let it show you where you gave too much without boundaries. Let it inspire you to protect your light like it's sacred. Because it is. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your energy, your kindness, your time. And once you learn to honor that, you don't just survive betrayal, you rise from it clearer, stronger, and more untouchable than ever before. There's something sacred about pain, something most people don't realize until they've been cracked wide open by life. Pain strips away your comfort. It challenges everything you thought you knew. And betrayal, that's a special kind of pain because it doesn't just hurt you, it changes you. It forces you to look at the parts of yourself you ignored, buried, or silenced. But here's the truth, that pain, it can become your purpose, not your excuse, not your identity. Most people run from pain, they numb it, avoid it, distract themselves from it. They dive into toxic relationships, overwork themselves, scroll endlessly, drink, binge, chase, all to avoid the silence where pain speaks the loudest. But the people who truly rise, the ones who make a difference, they don't run from pain. They meet it, they sit with it, and then they turn it into power. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine a man who gets betrayed by his closest friend and business partner. We're talking years of trust, late nights building together, shared dreams. One day, he finds out his partner has been siphoning money, signing deals behind his back, slowly building a safety net just for himself. At first, he's shattered. It's not just the betrayal of trust. It's the betrayal of vision of everything they built together. He could have given up, could have walked away angry and defeated. But instead, after months of silence and reflection, he made a decision. I'm going to teach others how to protect themselves in business. I'm going to share what I've learned so no one else has to go through this blind. He starts coaching, writing, sharing his story. And guess what? That betrayal, the thing that almost broke him, becomes the foundation of his purpose. He builds something even greater, this time with integrity, impact, and a voice that resonates with thousands. His pain became fuel. His betrayal became a gift, not for him alone, but for everyone he now serves. That's what pain does when you stop hiding from it. It becomes a message. It gives you a mission. Think of every speaker, every coach, every healer, every artist who moves people deeply. They all have a story, a struggle. They speak from a place not of theory, but of experience. And that experience becomes a bridge to others who are still walking through their own fire. Another example, a woman who was cheated on after years of loyalty, patience, and love. She was the one who always gave more, sacrificed, believed in people. And then, in a single moment, it all came crashing down. The betrayal wrecked her. She felt humiliated, unworthy. Slowly, through the tears and the healing and the work, she found her voice. She started writing about her experience. At first just for herself, journals full of pain and rage and confusion. Then she posted a single blog online. Just one, the response overwhelming. Women from all over the world messaged her, "You put into words what I felt, but couldn't express." So she kept writing. She created a platform, then a book, then workshops for women who had been through the same kind of betrayal. Her deepest heartbreak became the foundation of her highest impact. Because here's the thing, when you walk through hell and come out stronger, you don't just carry scars, you carry wisdom. And when you share that wisdom, you give others permission to heal. You give them hope. Your pain becomes the fuel that drives a new mission, something bigger than you. It's not about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's not about turning tragedy into some motivational soundbite. It's about transformation. It's about saying, this hurt me, it broke me, but I refuse to let it define me. So I used it, I chose to use it. Maybe your pain won't turn into a business or a book. Maybe it becomes your purpose in quieter ways. Maybe it helps you become a more present parent because you know what it feels like to not be heard. Maybe it makes you a better friend because you know what it's like to be left behind. Maybe it makes you a leader because now you lead with empathy, not ego. Purpose doesn't always mean public. Sometimes it just means aligned. The point is, betrayal breaks you open in a way nothing else can. But in that breaking is an invitation. The invitation to build again. This time, truth. This time with intention. This time not to prove anything, but to live everything you've learned. Every time you thought you couldn't go on, and you did, that wasn't just survival. That was strength. That was a seed of purpose being planted. When you water it with awareness, action, and intention, it grows. It blossoms into something beautiful. You have to ask yourself, will I stay stuck in the pain, or will I do something with it? You don't have to have all the answers right away. You just have to be willing to start. To use what tried to destroy you as the very thing that builds your legacy. Because the truth is this, there's someone out there who needs your story. Not your perfection, not your highlight reel, but your truth. Raw, honest, and real. And when your pain becomes purpose, you don't just heal yourself. You become the light that leads others through their own darkness. That is the highest use of pain. That is the power of betrayal when you refuse to let it own you. That is fuel for a purpose that matters.